Good evening and welcome to BJC Mitzvah Day number 178, part 1. Using the Sefer Hachinuch Mitzvah that keeps us on its way, the obligation regarding the Tumah of a Zav, the impurity of a Zav. Says the Pasuk, and this is in the third book, Vayikra Parshas Mitzvah. Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, any man who will have a discharge from his flesh, because of his discharge he is impure. Thus shall be his impurity when he discharges, whether his flesh runs with his discharge or becomes stopped up because of his discharge, that is his impurity. The final 6 mitzvahs of Parshas Mitzvah address the laws of Tumah, ritual impurity pertaining to discharges from the reproductive organs. Men and women experience certain such discharges as a matter of course, but at times may experience unusual discharges. The differences in their laws with respect to Tumah, impurity, as well as the similarities, will be discussed by the Hachinuch, again, that's the author of this book, in these mitzvahs. Okay. This mitzvah delineates the Tumah of a Zav, a male who experiences a series of semen-like discharges from his organ. We are commanded to regard the Zav as being Tameh, ritually impure, and having the capacity to transmit Tumah to others. As it is stated in Leviticus, this Parsha, any man who will have a discharge from his flesh, etc., thus shall be his Tumah, etc. The Hachinuch defines the term from his flesh. The meaning of the term from his flesh as transmitted to us by the sages in the tractate Nida is from his male organ. That is to say that a discharge issues from the orifice of the male organ, as the sages of blessed memory expounded in Sefer, on the basis of the phrase, any man who will have a discharge. It might be thought that if a discharge issues from any place in the body, such as a man's mouth, nose, or ear, the man shall be Tameh. To teach us otherwise, the Torah states, from his flesh, which can be expounded to mean of his flesh. That is, that the discharge to which the Torah refers flows from some part of his flesh and not from all his flesh, i.e., not from any part of his body. The Sefer continues, one scripture distinguishes between flesh from which a discharge renders a man Tameh and flesh from which a discharge does not render a man Tameh. I have the right, says the author, to use reasoning to determine from which part of the body a discharge renders him Tameh. But really, that's the Sefer. Thus, I reason as follows. The Torah rendered Tameh the Zav, and it rendered Tameh his female counterpart, the Zava. That's going to be Mitzvah 182. Just as with regard to the Zava, her Tumah comes through a discharge from the same place from which a woman becomes Tameh with a lesser degree of Tumah, i.e. as a Nida, when she menstruates, namely from the uterus. So too with regard to a Zav, his Tumah comes through a discharge from the same place from which a man becomes Tameh with a lesser degree of Tumah, a Balkari, someone who had a seminal emission, namely from his organ. Discharge from any other part of his body, however, would not render him a Zav. Thank you for listening. We will have to continue with this mitzvah tomorrow, but we did pretty well today, cover a lot of ground to sponsor a future mitzvah, 36,100 for the gold. Have a great day.